Morning to you all, and thanks to anybody and apologies to anybody who is on the first edition of the crypto coffee hour stream. At least apparently my microphone needed to get plugged into a new USB port for the first time in 7 months, because I don't know if the last one is broken or what might be going on there, but hopefully you can hear me well. Hopefully the audio is better. Don't have the whole fancy little or almost fancy little setup here, but figured for the interest of time, we'll hop into a bunch of things today. We'll definitely be keeping an eye on the chat here now too, so making sure I can see all of that in real time here. But getting back to it, so like I was trying to say before my mic completely crapped out, I mean, you guys couldn't hear a word that I wanted to say originally, but the two big things that I wanted to talk about today, besides your questions, obviously, because I want to hang out and answer your questions here, but we have Binance delistings is numero uno, I think is a fairly interesting topic. And then on the other end of the spectrum, we have JPMorgan coin, which kind of blew up crypto Twitter yesterday, and I think is an interesting subject of discussion moving forward here. My coffee has got cold. I appreciate everybody taking the time. Samantha, Chad, CHK, thank you, and sorry for the issues that we had getting things kicked off. But one of the interesting things that happened this morning, at least, was Binance delisted 5 different assets. So Binance delisted Cloakcoin, Modem, Salt, Substratum, and Wings. I have no idea what Cloakcoin is. Don't know what Modem is. I do not know what. I slightly know a little bit about Wings, but Salt and Substratum were the two ones. Not necessarily surprising at all. Definitely not Substratum. Substratum is not surprising in the least bit. But with that, we have on the other end, you have Salt, which was a larger ICO that I think a lot of people participated in. There was some kind of weird aspects to their ICO where a lot of pre-sale discounts and tier discounts and things like that. But when you look at it as a crypto lending company, maybe one of the legit companies in the space, I guess you might say. So a number of different things that we can touch on today. But if we look at the Salt, so if we look at the Substratum chart on TradingView, it got absolutely murdered. So really not a whole lot of volume. I mean, if we pull up volume too, but like no volume. Like there's not even the slightest bit of volume here. And then all of a sudden, boom, 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 slight bounce, dead. So that's my incredible chart reading. It's my incredible chart reading on the day, but looking at Substratum, if we pull up Salt as well, so we'll take a look at Salt getting delisted. Also, really rough go about Salt too. I mean, it's down 11%. The thing that's interesting about Salt in comparison to Substratum, though, is when you look at Substratum, the vast majority of their volume comes from Binance. So obviously this is inflated today as well, just because of the craziness of the delisting. But you have the second highest market with volume is COS. I don't really even know what COS is. It does about $19,000. I'm sure that's inflated today. But COS, BitTrue, HitBTC, really no other market's doing any type of volume. So it will be interesting to see what happens with these delistings, and specifically delistings that happen and occur on places or occur to cryptocurrencies that really don't have a lot of liquidity on other exchanges. So this is something that I think is going to continue to happen in the space. You've seen it with some of the other exchanges where they're starting to delist assets that have low volume, or they don't have enough, or they're not meeting certain guidelines or whatever it might be. But a lot of it really is due to volume, I think. Buy the dip till zero, buy the dip. I don't know about buying the dip on any of that. Shout out to Osiris on Twitch, the one-man army. Yeah, dude, one-man army, still stronger than XRP army. Woo! I don't know. I think I did a little bit of triggering XRP army yesterday, for better or for worse, and I'll talk about that for sure. But what's up, GBU Prof Wally? Thank you. Have a mimosa for happy hour today. Live, earn, and don't get burned with NASDAQ listing crypto indexes and JPMorgan coin. This is the turn. Do you think this is the turnaround? So to me, I don't think JPMorgan coin, and we can talk a little bit more about this, and would love to hear your thoughts on JPMorgan coin. But so this was an interesting headline by Bloomberg, and I kind of concur with this as well. So I'll dive into all of that and more. But when I look at the JPM coin, I do not see this as really a positive catalyst for cryptocurrency. I don't think it's a negative catalyst either. So I'll say that I think it's really a net neutral, just a net neutral event on cryptocurrency as a whole, because when I look at Bitcoin, when I even look at Ethereum, which it's built on Quorum, which is an Ethereum fork. It's like the enterprise Ethereum fork that at some point in time, maybe the JPMorgan coin will have some type of main chain, whether at Ethereum or something else, actually be able to interact with main chain of Ethereum and potentially some other assets. But I think this is really just a private, the good comparison that a lot of people have discussed is an intranet versus an internet, and JPMorgan starting off this coin in an intranet fashion, having their own private intranet, and then potentially at some point in the future moving that into a more collaborative internet where it can actually there's actual interoperability with the rest of the chains out there, or at least one chain in particular, be it Ethereum or whatever else they end up with Finality building on top of. But when I'm looking at JPMorgan coin, I think that it is most likely, in my personal opinion, it's a direct, it's competition against Ripple. And I know there's a lot of people, my mentions were full of it yesterday, of people saying, this is not competition with Ripple whatsoever. And there were some good points made, and there were some idiots. So the good points that I liked were talking about the walled gardens of kind of the walled garden that this might have, as well as, or that this might create, and especially like if you're a competing banker, you're going to want to leverage JPMorgan coin, which is a very good point. Like you think maybe they might have named it at least something more something not as JPMorgan focused than if they were trying to get other banks to utilize it at some point in time. So that is certainly certainly something to consider when you're looking at that. But I think just in the interview that they had with CNBC, and they were talking specifically about the cross-border payments, international payments that they are going after that market. So if we go over here, this is where I think it's direct. This is where I think it's direct Ripple competition, in my opinion. So, when you look at it initially, I think at a very high level, and sorry, I'm not using Brave right now because I had the whole issue with my stuff, so you're seeing a lot of ads in your face. But the issue that I see with this, and why I think this is competition for Ripple, and maybe not at face value, but when you look at it, so you look at it at face value, it's essentially, there was a few comparisons. Shout out to Coin Center who made the comparison of Fortnite V-Bucks. I've never played Fortnite, but Fortnite V-Bucks, basically it's it's a currency used within a closed system. So Fortnite has V-Bucks, you really can't use them anywhere else. This is kind of, JPMorgan coin is kind of like Fortnite V-Bucks, or another one I've seen is Venmo. Like Venmo dollars are really just within an internal database that they run, and like if you were to transact those Venmo dollars elsewhere, you'd have to send them to a bank first or somewhere else before you could do that. So that's one thing. But when you look at the ambitions that JPMorgan has of the three use cases, and this was their head of blockchain development, and he said the first is international payments for large corporate clients, the second is securities transactions, and the final use case would be treasury services businesses to replace the dollars. So I don't necessarily know if the second and third use case that they're looking at are directly competitive to Ripple. But when you look at the first use case, that, in my opinion, is, there are a ton of corporate clients that I think they say down here, 80% of the Fortune 500 banks in some capacity with JPMorgan. So if you look at, having 80% of the Fortune 500 with the possibility to utilize their international payments rather than doing wire transfers on Swift or on something with Ripple. Having that happen with this JPMorgan blockchain on JPMorgan Coin, that is something that I think is comparative to what Ripple is doing. And if I were somebody that I have no position on XRP, I know a lot of you guys see me on Twitter and I joke around quite a bit about it, but when I look at that, I think that that is the most competitive thing and the most, I would say, only like big use case that I look at that I see as competitive to certain cryptocurrencies. I don't think it's necessarily competitive to Bitcoin. I don't think it's necessarily competitive to Ethereum. I don't think it's really value add to either of them at this point in time. It does go to provide validity to blockchain technology. Otherwise, I don't think JPMorgan would be doing this. It is also at this point in time a proof of concept. Granted, this team has been working on this since really, I think, 2016. So this isn't a surprise at all for a lot of people. So this is something that, a lot of people are like, oh my God, I'm so surprised. The JPMorgan team has been within the Enterprise Ethereum Alliance for over a year at this point in time. They've been building on Quorum. They've been doing that for a ton of time. So popping through some of these questions here. So this is Bitlittle. Did Binance perhaps ask for protection money from those delisted? I highly doubt that. I don't know if this was volume based. I don't know if this is legal based. If there is some, there's a number of different things. They don't really. When you look at these delistings, and it's happened on a bunch of different exchanges so far. When you look at these delistings, there are a number of things that they're typically mentioned. There's like 10 different things. A lot of times it will really come down to volume for the most part, though, because if they can make fees, who cares? But when I'm looking at it, you see commitment of the team to the project. I don't know. Level of quality of development activity, public communication, responsiveness, evidence of unethical, fraudulent behavior, contribution to the healthy ecosystem. I think a lot of it, though, is volume. But like something like Salt, I don't know where, there could be some issues there, legally speaking. As far as Cloakcoin, as far as Modem goes, I have no idea. Substratum was the one that, Substratum's a shit show in my opinion. Like Substratum came out and they were talking about, a bunch of different things with, trading their treasury balance. And the CEO had talked in a conference before about pump and dump groups, all types of stuff that is just gives me the heebie-jeebies. So I am not I've never touched Substratum. That doesn't shock me, but Substratum and Salt are the only two ones if that I'm aware of. When's Bobby Coin hitting the market? What's up, Combat Medic on Periscope? Shout out to everybody watching on Periscope. XRP has first mover advantage. Yes and no. XRP's been around for a while, but like I said before, JPMorgan and a lot of these other companies out there have been working on this technology for a long time as well. It's not like JPMorgan came out last week and was like, "Hey, we're going to develop this shit." Like I said, it's been in the works since like 2016. And there have been numerous people that I know that have worked there or are working on on it. So, and they've had some talented people there as well. Granted, Ripple has talented people too, and Kyle, appreciate that comment. Very American-centric point of view. And I typically do have an American-centric point of view. I'm based in New York and live, and for the most part, my travels internationally are fairly minimal. So I do think that, yes, I do typically portray a pretty American-centric point of view, for better or for worse, when it comes to regulation or to adoption, things like that. So, looking at Ripple in comparison to some of the ties it has to SBI, That's certainly a good point. Although I don't know if no banks or companies really care about JPMorgan outside of the U.S. I mean, I believe it's like a $300 billion bank. I mean, JPMorgan's market cap is bigger than the entire cryptocurrency industry right now. So to say nobody outside the United States cares about JP Morgan, I think would be a little bit of a stretch, but I will definitely concede the fact that I typically do portray a very American-centric view throughout my video. So I appreciate that point for sure, and I'll try not to as much as possible. So Bear Tucker, what's up? Salt is a big delisting. Seems like the volume would be there pending SEC action. I feel like I don't know if has Salt Crypto ever had any type of SEC action. Yeah, this might have something to do with it. Oh, this is CCN, but you know, this might be part of the reason why I wouldn't, for Salt in particular. I mean, they are for the most part. Like, if you want to go through the process of, I would personally, I think Salt is a. I don't think Salt is like they had some sketchiness with their ICO for sure. I don't think Salt is a quote unquote scam. I think that they do run a like legit business now with lending. I personally, if I were to borrow cryptocurrency, I would not use, or if I were to borrow or put up, excuse me, if I were to do a collateralized crypto loan, blockchain backed loan, as they say, I would not use Salt. I would use either BlockFi if I were to use BlockFi or Unchained Capital, but probably BlockFi if I were to use it for a centralized company, and if not, I would use a MakerDAO CDP, which I've done, and I use MakerDAO CDPs. But I would think that this has something to do probably with the Binance delisting, is the SEC investigation or some element of that. That would be my best guess. Control Alt Delete would have been a better name for this coin. So we could, I'll pop back over to the sub chart. That should be. Oh, RIP in peace. That's RIP in the most pieces. 32%, 6 hours. And I do think this goes to show. So I when I look at the cryptocurrency market right now, I think that there are going to be more delistings across the board. Brings up two interesting points for you personally, and then I think for exchanges as a whole, or for like the exchange industry as a whole. So for you personally, I would look at the bags that you hold. And if you have a bunch of cryptocurrency bags, I would examine them and look at all of them and see if any of them might have the potential to be delisted from an exchange. Now, what might be the reason for that? Maybe it's very low volume. Maybe it's some type of SEC action that you've heard about. Could be a variety of factors, but I would look at that because I think this is going to happen more and more often. Now, when I look at this, sometimes cryptocurrencies that have been delisted, typically will have these massive pullbacks where they'll drop 30, 40% in an hour or two. Maybe they bounce a little bit. Maybe another exchange ends up listing them. What I think it will be interesting to keep an eye on is what happens with stuff like this, where maybe it's Salt. I think Substratum to a very much lesser effect, but Substratum, some of these other coins. Is there still demand to actually trade these coins on other exchanges? Will the volume move to other exchanges? Will the volume just poof and go away? Will it slowly and surely kind of die out and fade away into the darkness? That's also another thing that should be interesting to watch, is how the volume transitions from Binance to potentially another exchange. Will other exchanges try to list it to capture fees, or will the ones that have it right now, will they try to list it again? Who knows? But I think that'll be interesting to watch as you continue to kind of go through this process of examining these things. No point in selling bags when they're down 99%. Well, they can go down 99.9%, and that's another 90% down from 99%. So if you still have a few dollars left, I think there is always a point of selling your bags and getting out of them. Granted, I've been guilty of that myself. There have been a couple of cryptocurrencies that I've really not had a good time, good go around with, but a couple of shit coins here and there. But like I said, 99% is better than being down 99.9% because they're still a long way down. Can always go to zero. Can always go to zero. Shout out Cliff Martin. That's fantastic. Salt Sub Wings Cloak now listed on Quadriga. I think Quadriga's volume might pick up because of that. I think it might be a pretty solid move. What the hell is Linda Coin? I have not a clue. Not a clue on the planet. So that was fun. What do we have here? So Krypton Noob, when BSV delisting, so this happened, and I don't know if this is a stupid headline, because I don't know if Coinbase was holding my BSV hostage. I think I had 0.03 Bitcoin Cash. And because of that, I now have 0.03 Bitcoin SV. But Coinbase was not holding my BSV hostage by any means. They were just keeping that in a dark closet far, far away from me where it should have belonged. And now I have this ugly, disgusting Bitcoin SV in my wallet on Coinbase. So, will traders dump Craig Wright's crypto? I might burn it. I might send it for a donation. Who knows? But I sure as shit don't want Bitcoin SV. David Gockstein shills Linda. You have cars to be selling? I don't know. Am I going to be claiming my Bitcoin hex? No, not a chance. Don't care. Don't care. Trying to take as many of these questions. Start shooting them away. Shoot them away. Bad news on my front today, though, too. The coffee shop underneath my building, for whatever reason, was closed this morning, so I'm running on fumes right now. I need coffee, like, mainline into my veins as quick as possible. But I'm holding off to stay here and talk with you guys, hang out as long as I possibly can. What's up, Epic Pure Vids? I'll pop over. Let's see. Actually doing anything? That's weird. Bitcoin hasn't dropped since I've been live, so that's been a real shocker for once. Will Neo recover? Good question. I think that I'm not very bullish on. Personally, not super bullish on Neo. I'm not super bullish on a lot of the other smart contract platforms outside of Ethereum and a few other of the main competitors. But I don't think there's a massive need for 10 different smart contract platforms. I mean, if we go over here to pop over to Onchain FX, get it rolling. Vectors. So I'm not massively bullish. I mean, look how many smart contract. There are 30 smart contract platforms right now. I hate you, Archain. I hate you. I hate you. I hate you. But looking at these smart contract platforms, like how many of these? I mean, these for the most part have not been super high performers. And how many of these are going to be in existence in 5 to 10 years? Not too many, to be really, I think, frank. There are a lot of them, and a lot of them I think are, people make fun of Ethereum for its lack of adoption. lack of usage. You look at something like some of the other ones out there. I mean, they get absolutely no usage whatsoever. But I mean, there are so freaking many of them. You have Ethereum, you have EOS, Cardano, Neo, Ethereum Classic, NEM, Ontology, Waves, Qtum, Silica, Blisk, Eternity, Icon, MadeSafe, Elf, Elastos, Loom, Nulls. I mean, a lot of shitcoins in there. Nebulous. I mean, and the crazy part is too, I mean, you look at the percentages down from all-time high. A lot of the smart contract platforms have gotten really wrecked. I mean, Ethereum is down 92%, but a lot of them are down, 90, 95, 96, 98, 99% down. Qtum, Icon. Remember when Icon was going to the moon, boys, with that big announcement? Like, we don't need an Ethereum for Korea. We don't need an Ethereum for China. We don't need an Ethereum for Alabama. We don't need an Ethereum for Antarctica. You probably just need 1, maybe 2, 3 smart contract platforms at most. So we have, 30 different platforms all competing to do generally pretty similar things. And a lot of them, are going to lose hype and are going to lose hope, in my opinion. Nico1, what's up? Are you using any social media that has any other social media has a tie to blockchain tech other than Steemit? I also use Cent. Cent is let's see, pull this bad boy up here. Cent's in beta right now, but it's kind of like Steemit built on top of Ethereum. So yeah, there's a bunch of, so here's Cent. You essentially earn just straight ETH, not Steemit, or not Steem dollars. It's a little bit more straightforward than something like, a little bit more straightforward in my personal opinion than something like Steem is, but definitely not as many users yet at this point in time. Luke Pointon, favorite Coinbase apart from Bitcoin. I think Ethereum for me. I look at, when I look at crypto right now, I'm close to evenly split Bitcoin and Ethereum, and I am probably more bullish on Ethereum than most people are. Just working at a company. I mean, so I work full time at AirSwap. And I mean, AirSwap builds on top of, is built on top, leverages the Ethereum platform. And I've just gotten a chance to interact more with like the Ethereum ecosystem. And I am pretty damn bullish on Ethereum in the long term. Not necessarily on price. I do think it's somewhat undervalued now in comparison to in comparison to XRP. But I do think that there is a really interesting long-term potential. There are certainly issues with Ethereum, but when you look at the level of dev talent working on Ethereum, when you look at the level of people that are actually building and in some cases using, and the money locked up in the Ethereum kind of decentralized finance movement, I'm pretty bullish on Ethereum, and because of that, I think it's starting to see its real use case, in my personal opinion. I actually saw that too, Host Beef. Tron is not on that Masari smart contract list. I don't know where Tron would. Where's Tron? Or what is Tron? What do they classify Tron as? Oh, general. Oh no. I don't know what they classify Tron as. Shout out to Tron for bouncing a little bit today, but your boy is ready to see this fall off the face of the earth, and I'm betting on it. I'm betting on it. Let's keep going down, Justin Sun. I don't care how many followers you have on Twitter. We're going down. We're going down. We got a long way to go. Please, oh please, I want a new pair of shoes. We got, come on, just another 20% down. Back down to 500 Satoshis is all I want. That's all I want. That's fine. I'm good with a 24% Good with a 24%er. We're good there. Come on, Tron. One time me, kid. One time me. It's already down. What do we got? It's down 20% from the highs around the time of the airdrop. But come on, boy. Robbie wants a new pair of shoes, and Robbie short TRX. So let's roll. Short it, or you don't believe. Daniel. Funny part about that is I am short. Will I buy the TRX dip? I think I know. I mean, I'm actually looking at the. So I personally think Tron is going to dump and continue to dump. Up until a certain point in February when we get closer to the next round of the BTT airdrop. I don't think it's going to dump forever because I think there's going to be a next round of hype and Tron can get some press. But I do think that we're about to see a nice little continued sell-off. I mean, the buy volume here pushing this up is not all that much. I think we're going to continue to see it move down. I hope so because I'm betting on it. But yeah, that's my bet. Oh, the Frenchman. This is why I don't trust YouTubers. You're long in ETH, so you talk smack on other platforms. Of course. I literally just said I'm long ETH and short Tron. Of course I'm going to say I hope Tron goes down. This is why I can't trust you. Oh, shit, buddy. Everybody always talks their own book. Everybody always talks their own book. I'll talk my own book. You can talk your own book. That's fine. I'm going to give my personal opinions on it. There is no reason in God's green earth right now, this minute, to buy Tron. It's about to fall off the face of the freaking earth, and I'm going to profit off of it. I haven't had my coffee yet. I apologize. Yeah, Chaka's right. Do your own research and shill your bags. Go for it. It's no coffee yet. What's up, J-Man? What do you think about ETC blast off? Looking at ETC, I mean, I'm not a big ETC guy. I think, I mean, going back to the concept of smart contract platforms, and I'll throw Tron into that. I mean, as much as I want to like shit on Tron, and like I said, I'm literally short Tron right now. Much as I joke around about it, they know how to pump a cryptocurrency, and they also were incredibly intelligent to buy BitTorrent, so that juices up user numbers and it gives them something to actually integrate a token into, and a lot of other things. Justin Sun is a sick mad genius. When I look at Ethereum Classic, I don't see a ton of reason in my mind. I mean, it's still a $442 million market cap. It is a $442 million market cap. I think that is massively, massively overvalued. I am not like there are some people that work on Ethereum Classic. Shout out Anthony Lasardi, who's on Twitter. If you are an Ethereum Classic guy, you should follow him because he is one of the, I think, best people in that ecosystem to follow and to keep in touch with. But outside of that, he's a fantastic dude. But I personally, I don't see a reason for me. I mean, maybe it's just on the charts, but like macro level, I don't think Ethereum Classic is winning in the long term. That's my personal opinion. Do I think this time is different with Link? Let's take a look at Chainlink. Shout out to the Chainlink. I think is it the Chainlink militia? Chainlink's got freaking strength, man. It's pretty impressive. I don't know. I mean, I get the concept of oracles, but it's like That's a parabolic trav move right there. And especially in a bear market from July to where we are now, 400% against Bitcoin. That's a freaking parabolic trav move. And I'm not about to buy the top of a parabolic trav move. ETH down 64% the last year. TRX up 36%. You bet on the wrong horse? Yeah. I'm not saying I didn't, brother. I'm not saying I didn't. I mean, ETH is up a bajillion percent since the ICO. Where's Tron in the past year? We'll look at the past year. Maybe is that against Bitcoin? I guess, yeah. Look. Yeah, 40 some percent against Bitcoin. I mean, all-time high. Everything's super wrecked since then. But yeah, I mean, against Bitcoin, it's held up. I mean, USD-wise, probably not so much. But, I mean, I'm just giving my personal opinions. I'm giving my personal opinions here. You can have your personal opinions. I can have mine. And we can hold hands and go on our merry ways. Once I have coffee, maybe I'll send you a love letter. But it's been interesting to see if, I mean, even in the bear market, a couple cryptocurrencies have done relatively well. Maker was another one. Granted, there's very little liquidity on a lot of these. I'd have a little bit more. Nope. That doesn't. But Maker was another one that is up against Bitcoin pretty nicely, especially, I mean, since September, since the lows in September, it's up about 145% against Bitcoin. Since it started trading back in May on Bitfinex, it's up 27%. You got BNB that's been continuing to crush it. I mean, there have been a select number of assets in the bear market that have done, that is ridiculous. I mean, the one thing to watch with the fact that volume on BNB is picking up like that is pretty crazy. But the one thing I think to watch too with BNB here is the fact that the fact that CZ and Binance continue to incorporate it into a lot of their offerings, and they continue to like increase the utility of Binance, or of BNB in a number of ways. So like you look at this. So here's Fetch they're doing these Binance token sales now through Launchpad. BitTorrent was the last one. Now you have Fetch. Now, when you look at this, this is another genius thing in terms of price in terms of price appreciation. Looking at this, you can only buy the token, or you can only participate in the Fetch ICO with BNB. And they are selling, what is it? I believe it's 6 million, I want to say. If I remember correctly, I think it's $6 million worth of tokens are going through this ICO. So that is creating $6 million. I mean, granted, I'm sure some of those people already have BNB, but you would assume not all of that is in BNB right now. So $6 million, let's say for shits and gigs, a low estimate is a third of that has to get purchased into BNB. You're going to have a bunch of people going in and basically market buying $3,000 of BNB tokens to get into this Fetch ICO. And because it's on Binance, and it's a $6 million ICO, it'll probably sell out. So, I mean, you look at the stuff that's like things like, Binance do and Tron do, and, they do certain things with incentives that a lot of companies based in the US and a lot of companies based in more heavily regulated areas are not able to do, which is something I think that is a lot of value does actually accrue to the token holders, and there are certain things that will artificially increase the demand, and definitely you want to keep an eye on. Totally Safu. Taking a look at some of these questions here. Thoughts on when fetch AI delisting? Hopefully, I don't know. You got there's a whole plethora of people that cannot participate in the ICO. United States, Iran, Iraq, Cuba. It's good that the United States is, next to all these, you got Syria and Sudan and United States and Venezuela, and then everybody else can buy into it. But United States is like, yeah, fuck off. Thoughts on Brock Pierce, the Mt. Gox plans, all that Twitter circus behind him and Karpellis. It'll be interesting. I think Peter McCormick from What Bitcoin Did is in Japan right now to record a podcast episode with Mark Karpellis. So I'm sure that will be an interesting subject of discussion for sure. And I think that will be something to keep an eye on when you look at all this Mt. Gox stuff. But I don't know. I think a lot of it to me seems like BS. I don't think Mt. Gox is going to rise from the ashes. I also don't think that a couple of different parts of this would be nice. Like, it would be good for like the people from that were in the Mt. Gox ecosystem and actually had money there to get reimbursed or get more of a reimbursement through this plan. But to think that like people, Mt. Gox will rise from the ashes and actually become a trading venue again, I think is laughable. Like, yes, let's just go trust the place that that is the most famous Bitcoin exchange hack ever, and we're gonna rebuild their image. I doubt it. I doubt it. Hey, Bitcoin. Heyo. What is happening here, folks? I guess crypto coffee hour is a little bit better than crypto happy hour. I guess, I don't know. I'm jinxing it. Oh, man. Organic growth. Bruv, it's up like $20. I think every time crypto moves $5 and people are like, oh, it's not organic. It's not organic. Bitch, it's $20. All right, though, guys. I have not had my coffee yet, like I said before. And if I don't have my coffee in like 45 seconds, I'm probably going to die. And as much as when I look at my Delta app, I want to, I'll try to stay alive to, have some more crypto happy hours with you guys. But I really do appreciate the time. Sorry to everybody who was on initially for the issues we had with the stream. Hopefully, the USB cord is actually fixed. I know the Ripple squad was hacking into the system and hacked my USB. But appreciate the time, everybody. Stefan, what's going on, man? But yes, death by non-caffeine. If I don't get to it, it's going to be rough news. Hit that thumbs up button if you enjoyed this video, guys. Thank you so much for your time. Crypto Bobby signing out. Hope you have a good one. Peace.